Hello, everyone. Once again, welcome to the webinar Reflect, Refresh, and Reveal the Global Aluminium Industry Outlook, hosted by Al Circle. A heartiest welcome to all of you to the session number 2. So, the second session, which is supposedly held today, is on downstream segment, which will consist the extruded, rolled, cast, and recycled aluminium. Before we start the webinar, I would just read out some of the basic rules that we have set. We will take all the questions at the end of the session. All the attendees are to mute their systems during the presentation. If someone wants to talk, they need to raise their hand, unmute, and speak. If attendees have any questions during the presentation, they can also share them on the chat and we will address them at the Q&A session. It will be great if the attendees switch on their videos during interacting with the speaker while asking your questions, and any sort of promotional activities will not be entertained. So let us now start this session 2 of our webinar. So over to you, Rupankar.
Thank you, Prerna. Thank you for your time. Okay, first let me share the Hello, everyone. Welcome back again to our second session for this webinar, where we have tried to explain you on the first session in regards to the aluminium upstream part. Today we will be discussing on the aluminium downstream part, and we will also include the recycling and a bit of the end user part. So let me take you through the content part, what we were discussing today. So the market lens, so aluminium downstream. So we will be starting with the strategic importance of the aluminium downstream sector, global aluminium downstream sector overview, key drivers of aluminium usage in the downstream sector, key demand of aluminium usage in the downstream sector by region, the US tariff impacts in the downstream sector by region, world aluminium extrusion usage, world aluminium flat roll product usage, world aluminium wire and casting usage, major aluminium downstream trade outlook by product, major aluminium trade outlook for flat roll product and foil, world aluminium downstream usage by end use, world recycled aluminium demand, world aluminium usage in a new sector, humanoid robotics, stay connected to L circle where we aim today. So chapter today, we will try to understand that how the strategic importance of aluminium downstream sector. Like in the initial session, we have also spoken about how the economic is related to the aluminium value chain. So the strategic importance of aluminium downstream sector is like the economic value engine. So this is the part where when we make the primary metals and or when we make the secondary metals in the raw format and we take it down for the semi-finished or for the end use. So here comes the starting point. So we can say the aluminium downstream sector is the heart of the value chain. So the economic value chain, and it makes the highest value in the aluminium value chain. So this is the reason why the aluminium value chain, where the cost or the value of the aluminium is added. So it's the backbone of the industrial manufacturing. So it is in the downstream sector, which support, or we say the backbone of the industrial manufacturers for the products like automotive, construction, packaging, aerospace, electronics, energy, and all these sectors are these other sectors which actually drives the global GDP even. So driver of innovation and sustainability. All the raw aluminium that we make in the upstream segment has to be brought in the downstream segment and then innovate for for various products, and also the way of sustainability, we have to keep it from there. So key demand generators. So what are the key demand generators? All demand that is generated starts from the downstream. The raw materials, aluminum as a raw material is made in the upstream and also from the secondary metal. But when it goes to strips or in the what are the need or the demand, it is required in the various sectors. So the key demand generator stands in the aluminum downstream sector. So strategic link in the value chain. So this is the strategic link. So it's a downstream sector which plays a critical role to link between the upstream sector where the raw material is made and to the end use sector where the actual product is delivered to a customer. The downstream sector transforms aluminium from a commodity into a capability, fueling economies, enabling industries, and defining the future of the aluminium demand. So that actually we can say that the demand for aluminium is actually generated from the downstream sector. So the downstream sector has to be very strong, so which actually creates a demand. So let us coming to the global aluminum downstream overview. So when we talk about the global aluminum downstream overview, we look for just a minute. So the global aluminum downstream overview for 24, we have seen that the extrusion has leading the way from it was the consumption was 101.6 million tons, where extrusion played the role of consuming 34% of the overall consumption. Then FRP, including foil, played 32%. It consumed castings consumed 23% around, and on the others we have wires and cables for 8% and complete others for we have taken for 3%. So the global aluminum downstream market in 24 we already observe and experience a moderate growth. In our predictions for 25 and 26 remains on a positive side. However, in some regions, some challenges are is observed in regards to demand, like in North America and then major European economies. So the key drivers? So what are the key drivers for aluminium usage in the downstream sector? So lightweighting in the transportation. So transportation is a big factor. So now transportation is one of the leading key driver of aluminium demand, and which is resulting to the demand from the EV sector. The EV is is consuming a huge amount of aluminium. So sustainability and circular economy is another part which is driving the aluminium demand. As we know, aluminium is a product, is a metal that can be can be infinitely recyclable and 100% recyclable. Infrastructure and growth of urbanization. The rapid urbanization and the infrastructure growth has where aluminium plays a big role now. Technology and advancement. So in technology for various 3D printing, beta casting, additive manufacturing, all these are the modern applications that are coming up on the aluminium sector. Demand from the renewables energy. The renewable energy is also putting up its demand, and it is consuming, it is one of the new sectors which is consuming a huge amount of aluminium. Transmission and distribution of electrification. So as the global grid is changing, so definitely the high voltage lines are also being are now operated now. So we can see a huge amount of transmission and distribution of an electrification where aluminium demand has been used, and it is also to a certain extent we are also substituting the copper with aluminium to a certain part where it can be replaced. So the key demand of aluminium usage in the downstream sector by the Americas. So we can see clearly the North American demand for aluminium, if you consider for the billions of pounds. So in the last few years, like 23, it was 25.9. In 24, it was 26.6. But however, if you see the year to date from as of now from the 25 and 24, it is running at a 4.4 D. So it's a minus 4.4, so it's a downfall. So we can see the North American demand is showing some degrowth now. In the US and the Canada, the consumption was around 30 million tons, 13 million pounds of aluminium in H1, which is last year, in the same period, consumption stood at 13.7 million pounds. This means demand fell by 4.4%, as I quoted here, and it is mentioned in the graph even. So domestic producers and shipments of inventories reported indicated that the producer shipments for US and the Canadian facilities decreased by 4.5%. So year on year to June, this number excludes import to more clearly reflect the industry aluminum product and shipment by North American firms. The decline in domestic producer shipment was primarily driven decline in the aluminum mill products, which is also needs to be noted. Recycling momentum is strong with over 10 billion invested in since 2011 and North America scrap inventories are up by 15%. Uh, so when we talk now, we can also see the key demand in the Central and the South American aluminum product consumption. So when we say in the last session, we also talked about the new market. So this is also focused now as a new markets, Central and mostly the South America is a new market it comes around. So if you see in the Central and the South America, the aluminum product consumption in 1,000 tons in 2020 it was 2023. In 21, it was 2279,000 tons. In 22, it was 2243. In 23, it was 2181. And in 24, it rose to 2312. And we can see from January to June 25, aluminum can sales in Brazil reached to 16.5 billion units. So Brazil, uh, this is a this shows some growth. Automotive, while demand for EV components in the growing globally, and there is some movement toward EV tech in South America. However, Argentina and Brazil's production still relatively modest compared to the traditional vehicles. Argentina is still a market, a small market or an emerging market, and imports are made from China. So they are still importing the BYD cars from China. Construction and infrastructure, urban growth and grid expansion supports have been supporting the extrusion and the wire rod demand through cycles vary with economic conditions. Export-driven semis, although we cannot say that Brazil is a hub, but however, as an export hub, but Brazil does export aluminium products, including semi-finished of flat rolled like aluminium foil, can stock, which are used in the packaging and the industrial application. And they are majorly exporting to United States, Chile, and Argentina. Scrap and circularity. So Brazil has seen a steady growth in the aluminium can recycling rate, while in 2020 the country's recycling rate was 97.4%. It grew to 98.7% in 21 and 100% in 22 and 23. However, in 24, it has been observed a drop rate to 97.3%. So, key demand of aluminium usage in the downstream sector. So let us focus on the bit on the Europe. So the Europe auto sector weakened in early 25, and it has been clearly seen that the auto sector is showing some weak in early 25 with falling registrations and a 3.3% drop in car trade eroding momentum. EU's construction output is set for a mild recovery in 25, and mild means we genuinely say it's a very mild. It is 0.2 to 0.5, and that range it can be. Lifted mainly by the rate cuts and green transition projects through public spending, austerity will cap now how strong that rebound can be. Packaging is a growing sector due to aluminum uses sustainable and recycling nature. So this sector is doing better. Recycling is showing strong growth supported by advanced regulation driven secondary production. automotive, and we will also like to put here um, uh, the plants that has been the plant that has been in the Western Europe for the extrusion, rolling, and recycling that is spread around. In the next slide, it is in the Eastern Europe, the plant for the extrusion, rolling, and the recycling that is spread around. And we have also seen the automotive production has also witnessed dip compared to 24, as we have said in the earlier slide. So the dip is actually compared from the 24. Slow recovery in construction, we have already said in overall European region, when we consider the whole of the Europe, increasingly stronger food and beverage manufacturing, rising can and foil demand, and growth in export-oriented packaging production. So, as we have said, the packaging sector is trying to do better, surging with rising secondary smelting capacity, improved scrap systems, the scrap systems, and the EU circular economy policies driving higher recycled aluminum usage. So, as we all know that EU now focusing on the CDM, and so gradually that circular economy policies will be driving the thing. So recycled aluminum will be playing a huge role. However, still the United States tariffs has not been on the aluminum scrap, which has created some disturbance or impact on the EU. And we are keeping an eye to look on if there is some tariffs will be put in the by the US on the aluminum scrap. However, for present there is nothing like that. So key aluminum demand usage in the downstream sector. We can see here the China. So China's auto output and the sales. So the automotive segment, as we have said, the automotive segment is leading the world's consumption for aluminium, and I mean the whole of the transportation sector. So when we see the China's auto output, so China's July 25 auto output was 2.59 million units. That's a minus 7.3 month-on-month drop. However, on a year-on-year basis, that is plus 13.3 growth, while sales reached 2.593 million units, and it's a minus 10.7 month-on-month drop and plus 14.7% year-on-year. So we can see both on a month-on-month it's a drop, but on a yearly it's a growth. It is showing. It is we can see. So from January to July in 25, the investment completed for power grid construction reached to 335 billion yuan, representing a year-on-year increase of 12.45% in China. The electrical sector is the second fastest growing sector following transportation, contributing 16% of the current demand. So this is how the China market looks. You can see here the China passenger cars output from Jan to July, and you can also see the China passenger versus commercial car sales from Jan to July. So key demand of aluminium is in a downstream sector by China. The building and construction sector is the one of the sector where huge amount of aluminium is consumed, but the market shows a dip. So you can see the China market, the investment growth in Chinese housing projects is showing a dip. It's Jan to December, you can see minus 10 in Jan to Feb, it goes to minus 9.8, and you can see an arc. And that from Jan to July 25, we can see that's a minus 12.0. That's an RCMC, the downfall. China real estate investment fell 12% to RMB 5.36 trillion, with construction and sales also down. Key demand of aluminium usage in the downstream sector by rest of Asia Pacific. So Asia Pacific, as we have said, the Asia Pacific is also comes under the new markets where it is showing the rapid urbanization has been the rapid urbanization, also the youth population, the rise in the per capita GDP. So all this has been a factor which is also making this region a better, majorly, and here we will say about the rest of Asia Pacific, which is excluding China. The APAC data center construction costs rose 3.8% year-on-year, signaling strong project activity. APAC, excluding China, is projected to add 670 gigawatt of renewables between 25 to 30 in this phase, nearly doubling the capacity and marking second largest global increase, with India contributing the half, Southeast Asia adding 15%, and the outlook upgraded 10% due to stronger policies in India, Vietnam, and Pakistan. So this shows a clear that this region has a better growth. It is having its growth on the various sectors where the renewable sector is showing the good momentum, and the consumption for the aluminum will also rise. The Asian new car registration, as the automotive sector or the transportation sector is one of the leading consumers. So we can see in the APAC region, the new car, the car registration in Asia has saw up in the whole of the Asia, excluding China. We see there is a big up from the H1 24 to H1 25. In India, it is marginally up from 2.2 to 2.21. For Japan, we can see 1.79 in H1 24, and in H1 25 it is 1.98. For Korea, it is 0.69 in H1 24, in 25 it is 0.73. For others, it stands at 1.95 in 24 H1, and in H1 25 it stands at 1.98. The aluminium demand in the automotive sector is strengthening, supported by a 4.08 rise in the new vehicle registration. So, as we have seen, some of the regions are witnessing some slow growth or slow momentum. We are also seeing in some of the regions the momentums are getting up. The US tariffs. So the US tariffs this year has been playing a wide role or a big role in our aluminium industry. And we can see here the US aluminium downstream, excluding casting and wire rod import from selected countries. You can see, except for South Korea and Oman, the rest all are showing are down. So this has been due to the tariffs. The tariffs impact has started, and we can show the drops now here. The United States will ease Section 232 tariffs on the EU automobiles and parts by removing tariffs on items with F&M rates of 15%. US tariffs hike, doubling duties on key Indian export to as much as 50%, contributing to 9% year-on-year drop in India's October shipments to the US. However, it has been also in the news yesterday that the Mexico has put 50% tariff on the India and the Asian countries, which also includes the aluminium. The United States has reduced cumulative IEEPA tariffs on Chinese imports from 20% to 10%, while China removing its retaliatory duties. And US President Donald Trump has announced a trade deal with South Korea that sets a unified tariff of 15% on covered goods. So this has shown some impact in the last few months. Some of the export we have seen that the export to the US has dropped from a lot of the countries. So the global aluminum extrusion usage. So the global aluminum extrusion demand reached to 34.27% in 24, and we are expecting it to rise to 35.2 million tons in 25, and is projected to hit 43.58 million tons by 2032. If you can log into our on LB's platform, where you can see a huge number of new aluminium extrusion manufacturers have already registered with us on our LB's B2B marketplace. And in the last few months, we have onboarded not less than 300 extruders on our platform, showing the rise and the demand for the aluminium extrusions. And however, the growth slowed briefly in 2020 due to the COVID impact, and rebounded in 21 and is now driven by the construction recovery. The construction sector is recovering majorly by the uh, uh, commercial. The commercial part is recovering better than the residential. EV lightning, data center expansion, and accelerating of the solar PV installation. When we talk about the recent developments and expansion, we see that North America has a lot of developments. China has also developments, and Asia also has a few much development where Hydro has also been in the news uh, for shut down 5 aluminum extrusion plants. However, more other companies are also bringing up new plants for extrusion. Uh, we can go through our Al Circle Al News, where we can read the recent developments on the various aluminum extrusion plants. The new plants are opening. All the news for the key developments are daily updated there. The global aluminum FRP excluding foil stocks usage in packaging sector. So we can see in 24, the global aluminum flat roll products usage by end-use sector stood at 26.2 million tons. The FRP product usage by other sector excluding package stood at 14 million tons. And when we break that whole of them, the global aluminum FRP roll product usage by packaging sector stood at 12.2 million tons. The FRP consumption reached to 32.5 million tons in 24 and is projected to rise to 33.62 million tons in 25. And it is highly supported by the demand across the packaging, transport, and the construction. Oil demand is expected to grow steadily to 6.3 million tons in 25, driven by increase in flexible packaging. Household packaging is one of the big demand driver. Pharmaceutical blisters, EV battery separators is on a high demand, demonstrating its resilience when broader industrial demand softens. The world aluminum flat roll product usage, when we say the broad heading, the recent developments so the foil, when we talk about the foil, we have seen in 24 in 2024 the consumer application it stood at 4,155,000 ton. In 25, it is in 25 it will as of now we have seen it is close to 2080 we have what we have to have recorded, and for the world the consumer application, okay, you can see here the consumer application stood at 4511, and for the in 24 in 25 it was 4720, while for the industrial application, which is a bit less, it shows 1789 tons in 24 and 2080 tons in 25 as per the forecast. So we can see Novelis, Aluminis, Sinalco, they are all coming up with the recent developments and the expansions in various countries and bringing up the new foil plant. Uh, in the Southeast Asia region, including India, also the new aluminum foil plants are also coming up. The countries have been doing domestic aluminum foil production now. So the global world aluminum casting and wire rod usage, the wire rod in 24 it stood at 8.2 million tons, and in 25 we are expecting the wire rod to reach 8.3 million tons. For casting, 23.6 million tons, and in 25 it will rise to 23.7 million tons. And for the others, it will remain at 3. And for 25 also, we are expecting to it will around but for 3 million. However, for global aluminum casting demand, we have already said it will reach 23.6 million tons, reflecting heavy usage in automotive components, machinery parts, and industrial equipment, where complex shapes and a high strength performance are essential. So the recent developments and expansion, we have given here a few. If you want to read a much more recent development with content, you can log into our Al News platform, which is always free to read, and you can get a daily update on all our recent developments in the aluminum wire rod and casting consumption sector. So the major aluminum downstream trade outlook. When we say the aluminum bar rod and profile, HSN 7604 import trends in major markets. So when we talk about that, we have quoted here the 24 versus 25 from Jan to August 8,000 tons. So we can see here Germany's import has dropped. US import has dropped in 25. Uh, of course, the tariffs has played a role for US. In France, it has dropped. The European economy is putting an impact. In Poland also, the import of bar oil profiles is showing a drop. And also for UK, also there is a drop for the import. It was 74.2, it was 74.2, and it is now 72.7. For Germany, for the pipes and tubes, import trends in major markets. So Germany again has shown a drop. For Poland, it's a marginal rise. For Thailand, it's a drop. For US, we are seeing it is a drop, and this drop is quite high. And however, we can see for Czech Republic, that's a marginal rise we can see. As we have said earlier, the US market impact, this is the which is playing a role, and the drop is one of the reasons for that. The major Now we come to the export part. When we say to the export part, we can also see that USA, the export is also showing a bit of drop from the 24. In Italy, the export has up. The export is a rise of marginal rise. It's just a 400. It's a 0.4. For Germany, the exports for the bar rods and profiles is showing a drop. For Turkey, it is showing a rise. For China, the one of the most known market has shown a huge drop for the bar rods and profile exports. However, for the aluminum pipes and tubes, we can see for Germany, we see a drop. For Italy, uh, we see 8.8 from 9.6 to 8.8. From Belgium, we see 14.1 to 10.6. It's a drop. For USA also, we see a 28.5 to 25.8. It's a drop. And for China also, we see the export to drop for aluminum pipes and tubes from 96.3 to 77.1. So aluminum plates, sheets, and strips, HSN 7607, for the major markets like USA, for USA, it is shows a drop, but it's a marginal. And for Germany, there is a bit of rise. It is showing for the import of plate sheets and strips. For UK, it is a bit of high. For Canada, it's a down from 349.7 to 286. From Poland, it is from 254 to 243. It's again a bit of dip in their import to the aluminum plate sheets and chip. For aluminum foil, USA shows an up, and this is due to the demand in the market from the US market. And although the price is high, still there is a demand. For India, due to the tariff on the Chinese imports, the import on the aluminum foil is showing drop from the previous year from 147.8 to 128.3. For Germany, the import is up to 114 from 108.5 to 114.9. For Thailand, it shows a rise in the import, and for France, it is a dip in the import of the aluminum foil. aluminum plate sheets, and strips. We can also see in the aluminum plate sheets and strips market that China has shown in the export market. There is a drop by some numbers. In Germany, there is a marginal drop for the export trains for the aluminum plates and sheets. For USA, as we have said, the USA market is a drop now. For the Italy market, we have seen the export has risen from the last year to this year, it is better. And for the France, it has showing a drop. And for aluminum foil, China market is showing from Jan to August. China is showing a drop by good numbers. It was 1022, which has dropped to 900.9. For Germany, it's again a drop. For Turkey, with a good rise from 85.4 to 94.0. For Thailand, it is a rise from 61.5 to 75.6. Italy, again for the aluminium foil exports, shows a rise from 84.0 from the 24 to and rose to 89.1. So, world aluminum downstream usage by end-use sector. So, whatever the aluminum we produce in the as a raw aluminum, it has to go to the downstream sector to take the various shapes, and the various shapes are taken from all the in the various sectors. Whereas it goes from the sectors, it goes to the downstream part. So this we say that aluminum downstream usage by end use. So the end use we have taken here the transportation sector, building and construction, packaging, electrical and electronic, industrial and others. And we can see here clearly the transportation sector, again, like the previous year, will take the lead with 27% of total consumption. Building and construction will be the following the transportation sector at 22%. Packaging sector will stand at 16%, electrical and electronics will stand at 14%, industrial will stand at 8%, and the others will stand at 13%. So, what will be the key demand drivers and how it's a EV growth keeps demand positive, but moderate ICE output and a slow aviation rebound cap up the upside. So, both the EV will be play a major role for the transportation, and of course, also the ICE also will play a slow role, but a role it will play. Global recovery in uneven Europe stays soft, while GCC mega projects and US stabilization hold demand afloat. Grid upgrades, renewables, and data center expansion push demand through the consumer electrolysis. One of the strongest performers driven by rapid shift from plastics to can and steady pharma foil growth. So the packaging sector, as we have said from the beginning, the packaging sector will be playing a role up for the consumption. Machinery in demand is steady, but automation and renewable linked equipments providing momentum. World aluminum usage in new sectors. So we have just told here, we have just explained here about that one new sector. There are multiple new sector which the aluminum is having a demand. We are talking here about the humanoid robotics. So it has been found in a survey that the aluminum usage in the humanoid robots has been at around 15 to 20 kg per unit. So and it can extend to even 28 kg. So that extension is also there, reflecting the material growing role in structural frames, joint modules, and thermal system. So this is one of the segments or one of the sectors where aluminum will be playing a new role as a new sector. Let us come to the global recycled aluminum demand. I think this is one of the segment that has been playing a role, and it has been playing a it has been participating its strength with the global aluminum, even the primary aluminum production and consumption. So the global recycling aluminum consumption 24 and 25, it shows that in 24 it was 28.9 million tons. In 25, we are expecting to reach at 29.9 million tons. The market size is around was in 6.10 billion in 24, and we are projecting to reach 11.89 billion by 2032, with a strong 8.7% CAGR. And why it is like that? The rising environmental regulations and the cost advantage of secondary aluminum are accelerating the adoptions and across automotive, construction, packaging, and electronics. And why? Because aluminum's 100% recyclability supports the circular economy goals with 75% of all aluminum ever produced in it. Advanced recycling systems such as we can say Tomra's automated sorting enable high purity output for aerospace and electronic application. And policy-driven momentum is strong with the US, EU, and Japan promoting low carbon materials, while emerging markets like India and Brazil show rapid growth due to urbanization and sustainability demand. So we are towards the end of our second session, when we can say that the data, insight, and direction for the downstream aluminum future. Trusted intelligence from L Circle, strengthening every step for the downstream value chain. Stay connected to L Circle. Keep reading L Circle news. You can also plug into our Alvis platform, where we can see which is the world's first digital B2B marketplace exclusively for the aluminum value chain. And also we will be happy to if you can share your feedback and let us know where we can improve and what more on the topics we can come up with the next webinar. And now is for the question Q&A session. If anybody has any questions, please.
Thank you so much, Rupankar. The Q&A session starts. Anybody who is willing to ask any questions can raise their hand, unmute themselves. Also, they can write down their questions in the chat box. We will address them. I would request everyone to please scan this QR and give us a feedback that would help us in improving our webinars in the upcoming year. And also, I would like to announce certain points. We will be sharing the presentation of both the session, that is session 1 that was on upstream, and session 2 on downstream. We will share this both the presentations by next week. Also, we will share an executive copy of our Outlook report, which is completely free of cost, to the participants who attended both the sessions.
This will be the outlook for 2026 and beyond.
Okay, so we got a question. I'm just reading it out for you, Rupankar. Did China's behavior, capacity, discipline, exports, stimulus, whatever, break any of your original assumption?
Mm, uh, see, the stimulus or any other that kind of behavior, I think uh, when we do some predictions or estimations for some years or for a multiple years, we have to keep some barriers like a percentage, because China is, as China being the world's largest producer compared to others. If I compare between China and India, India just produces around for the primary, India just produces 10% of China, suppose. So if we can say like that, definitely when we predict for that, we keep some projections. We have to restore some 10%, 8%, something like that. And for a company and for a unit, when we do like this such a prediction, definitely we have to keep these types of planning. And means if we are expecting for a 10% or a 12% growth, we have to either back to around a bit low, because if the highest producers can come up with something, policies like that, which might impact the global industry. So we do keep some barriers for that. There is a question, I think. I cannot read. Can you just...
Sorry, there's one more question. In EV, where exactly is aluminium adoption lagging? Is it in battery housing, body in white, or casting?
Okay, in EV, you see, the EV, the aluminium has, the rise of aluminium is for the EV now, when we say, uh, but the body, for casting, uh, it's not like that in the, it is much more in the casting. It is the sheets are there, then the batteries are there, but lagging is the cost, where sometimes the cost has been some of the biggest problem that we are facing. And also the some of the impacts on the tariffs which is creating, and it is the lagging in the white body, if you can say.
Somebody has raised their hand. I have unmute themselves. They can just speak out and ask their question.
Hi, Rupankar. Rahul this side.
Yes, Rahul.
Hi. So my question is regarding the pricing of various components of the aluminum value chain, basically bauxite, alumina, and aluminium. Sorry, I missed the upstream session on that, but just wanted to know your outlook. Like, for example, for alumina, I think it is expected to be in the high 300s. Aluminium, I think LME, there was this LME week where they were saying aluminium might touch $3,000. And like, what is your outlook on that? And what is your outlook regarding bauxite? Bauxite is seeing a downward trend right now. I think it might be facing pressures due to the alumina low pricing right now. So
Yeah, the aluminum.
what do you see the bauxite, pricing going in the medium term?
See, for the if you see the LME price, we can say for the next quarter, at least for 26, the first quarter, we can say it is expected to reach 28, 29, means 2,800 to 2,900. However, for the bauxite, you see, the new APIs, the price indexes are coming. So that price indexes will play the new role for the bauxite now. Now, as well as it was announced that the Guinea will have its own price index. So when they are having their own price index, the prices they are supposed to determine. And with a low in alumina price, that will be the alumina price that will be low for the next year, expecting for the next 3 years. However, the bauxite supply won't be a big problem for the bauxite supply will not be a problem, though the price will be moderate. And again, for uh, where Guinea is playing the role, it is sometimes it becomes difficult to predict for the Guinea if the elections will happen or not, how the situations will be there in Guinea, the political stability will be there. So there are a lot of factors when we can think. But even if you can say that the bauxite price won't be won't change a big time in there, but we have to keep an eye on the new pricing index. We have to keep an eye.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul.
Like many of you have been writing this over email as well. We will share the deck within, like, it will take till Monday as we are heading into a weekend. So by Monday, we will be sharing both the decks to everybody who attended and registered for the session, for the webinar. We have one more question, Rupankar. What assumption from the 2025 model has been completely removed from 2026 and why?
Uh, can you just repeat this question? I couldn't get it.
Yeah. What assumption from the 2025 Outlook report or the model has been completely removed from 2026?
No, we have not removed, but we can, what was there, like the alumina price, the way it went up in 24 uh, was not predicted well globally. And it was like that the way the alumina prices fall for the LME and also for the FOB, so that was not very well predicted. However, for us, or I don't know for others, but we have not removed anything like that. So there is a question from Mr. Kostav. How do you see the recent sunsetting of EV subsidies and rollback of CAFE standard in the US impacting the aluminum steel consumption in the auto sector? Uh, yes, there are some, we can, on this thing, I think it will be difficult for me to answer this here. And however, Prerna, can you just take this note of this question? We have a report on flat roll sheets and extrusions, and kindly note this up. And I will be sending Mr. Costa a personal email on and answer this question
Yeah,
because
sure. We can do that. Sure.
yeah, I can say that because we have the aluminum sheet consumption in auto sector, the data ready with us, so I can share with him on a personal email.
Okay, sure. I take a note of this. Sure.
Yeah, please.
There is a request to all of you, like I will be sharing a feedback form over email to the participants who join both the sessions, and I would request all of you to please go through the form and fill it up, as this will help us in the upcoming webinars that we will be organizing. Also, any other feedback that you would like to give to us is always welcome. So, Rupankar, it's time to end the webinar.
Thank you.
Any note that you would like to give at the end before we end the session?
My note will be again that, as you have said, please let us know on the feedback form on what topics we can do a webinar, and also uh, be in touch with L Circle. Keep reading our L Circle news, where we update every day our what is happening in the whole of the aluminum industry to keep the whole aluminum fraternity updated across the world. And we are also expecting a better 2026 for the global aluminum industry. And everybody have a great weekend. Thank you for your time, and thank you for everything, your support and cooperation.